cafe defenders were saying you don't have the authority to do this because this was a limited court decision that would not necessarily apply statewide. Could you address that, please?
Well, it's, number one, we have, the question was, if anybody didn't hear the question was that some of the people who run these operations say this is a limited court decision. Well, my answer to that is, first of all, a reading of the law would indicate that this is illegal. We have always felt in our office that it was illegal. This is the highest court that has looked at this issue. It is the only appellate court, I believe, that's looked at this. Is that right? The only appellate court that's looked at it. We believe the law is clear. We always have felt the law is clear. Now we have an 8th District Court of Appeals decision, and we're going to enforce the law.
Why not wait until the Ohio Supreme Court rules on this, and then you'd have a very clear statewide ruling? Possible that the Supreme Court could rule the other way, no? I mean, and then
well, I suppose anything can happen. I don't think that's going to happen. We do not, when a law is passed, we are charged with enforcing that law until a court tells us that it is not constitutional. We all have laws. We have a new law that's passed by the legislature tomorrow. We will go out and enforce that law. So the norm in law enforcement is to enforce laws. And this is clearly gambling. The real question, the legal question that the 8th District took up, and that I would suggest is where any litigation will occur, is over the question of when someone walks in there, did they, to that mini casino, was their intent to buy internet time and use that internet time? Was that the product? Or was their idea to walk in there and buy telephone time? If it was, it would not be illegal. Just as someone who goes into McDonald's and buys a Big Mac, and buys that Big Mac, and gets a scratch-off card, that's not illegal. No one that I'm aware of in their right mind walks into McDonald's and buys 40 Big Macs and throws them in the trash and uses the 40 scratch-off cards. That is exactly what is happening time and time again across this state. So the people who run these internet cafes and their lawyers, I think we're all stupid. I think, you know, they just think we're idiots. And they think the courts are stupid. Look at the quotes from this court. The court made it very clear. We're not stupid. And I think other courts will come to the same conclusion. So we're going to enforce the law.
What's the possibility that police will arrest people, but county prosecutors, some county prosecutors will say, I'm not so sure about this?
Every county, the glory of the state of Ohio is that we have no, we do not have centralized law enforcement in the state. We have 88 counties, we have 88 sheriffs, we have 88 prosecutors, 88 courts, and more, a lot of chiefs of police. Everybody's got to make their own decision. And what I'm simply saying is I'm going to do what I can do, and that is to make our office available to local law enforcement if they want help. If they make a determination that that is not in the best interest of the citizens of their county, I will not argue with them. But we're simply here to help and to deal with this problem. Anybody else?
Attorney General, you had some ongoing investigations into internet cafes. Have they concluded yet, or are those still going?
We still have ongoing investigations, which are not concluded, and unfortunately, because of that, I cannot really talk about them. But we have ongoing investigations now.
Have you been able to link any of these to organized crime?
Pete, you want to take that? And they think the answer is we still have cases that are under investigation, and I'm not at liberty to make any comment beyond that. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification, the court ruling, do you intend to, or do you believe it could be used to shut down all internet cafes, or are there just certain types that might be especially bad actors?
Pete, you want to take that? Make any distinction on these? Anything besides what I've already said?
I'm Pete Thomas, Chief of the Charitable Law Section for Attorney General DeWine. as he indicated, if the intent and the fact of what people go in to do is to buy a chance to gamble, it's illegal gambling. Are there some locations in Ohio that are not run on that model? There might be.
Could be.
But what we see most typically is the people are in there to play the machines, to chance to win money, and that's illegal gambling.
Pete, while you're up there, the number is less now. I think you mentioned 794 and it was 820 or
Yes.
whatever. Well, how did that change?
What happened was we had received multiple filings from the same location, and we don't know why. You know, it could be a change in ownership. Change in ownership is not prohibited by the moratorium, just opening new locations is. It could be that when they changed ownership, a new owner filed an affidavit to be safe. We have scoured our list and removed all the duplicates. But we did receive 800 and some individual affidavits.
But we believe this is the, and this is again self-reporting, and the reporting was due on what date?
July 17, 2012 was when they were supposed to have filed with us. We did in fact receive several late affidavits, but there was no penalty in the moratorium for being late.
Yeah. And if you look at the moratorium, does not require. What happened is very interesting. We put out our own form, and we had clearly lawyers advising some of their clients, don't follow the Attorney General's form. Just send in minimum amount of information, which is minimum of what, Pete?
All the affidavit required was that it say that they were open and operating prior to the moratorium, give their address, and then a signature.
Yeah, and the signature a lot of times you can't read. I wouldn't say that was on purpose, but you know, a lot of it we can't read. Very little information on these, and so this chart, it's just all of what's been self-reported. We did have several that did file, and they weren't in existence, and I think what they were trying to do is get in under the line. But I want to make something very clear that we talked about with our law enforcement group here. The moratorium, all the moratorium really says is you can't start one after the moratorium. It does not say that if you're operating illegal gambling in the state of Ohio, the state is blessing it with the moratorium. I want to make sure that that's very, very understood. That is not what the moratorium meant. And that's not what it said.